Androcles and the Lion. Long ago in Rome there lived a slave by the name of Androcles. His master was very wicked and Androcles lived a terrible life. One day he decided to run away. He knew this was a dangerous thing to do because when a slave ran away, he was sure to be killed if he was caught. But Androcles had made up his mind that he was not going to spend another day in his master's house. He did not care if he died. Anything was better than having to spend the rest of his life as a slave. The next day, Androcles waited until all the other slaves were hard at work. At last he saw his chance, and when no one was looking, he ran away. Androcles hurried through the countryside looking for a place where he could hide. He ran on and on until he was tired. Night was falling, and Androcles began to grow frightened. Wild animals lived in the countryside, and he was very worried that one would attack him. He knew that many of these wild animals came out to hunt at night. Androcles realized that if he did not find a place to hide very soon, he would be in great danger. He did not have anything to protect himself with. At last he came to a cave. It was big and dark. He did not know if anything was hiding inside it, but he decided to take the chance. Slowly he went inside and looked around. There was nothing in the cave. It was quiet and peaceful. He was very glad. It would make a good place to spend the night. Androcles got some leaves and made a rough bed in the corner. He found some rocks and put them at his side. He would try to get some rest, but he would have to sleep with one eye open. If anything came to attack him, he would try to frighten it by throwing the rocks. Suddenly, he heard a strange noise outside the cave. He looked up in fright. A lion was standing in the doorway of the cave. It was a big lion with a heavy mane. Androcles was so frightened he nearly died. He had never been near a lion before. With his heart beating fast, he waited for the lion to leap on him and tear him to pieces with its sharp claws. Slowly the lion moved closer to him. Androcles trembled. Then, to his surprise, the lion did not attack him. Instead, it sat down beside him. Androcles was amazed. The lion put one of its paws to Androcles and looked at him with pain in its eyes. Androcles looked down at the lion's paw. Something seemed to be wrong with it. Androcles was still afraid, but he looked more closely. Then he saw what was troubling the lion. The lion's paw had a long prickle sticking out of it. Androcles felt sorry for the lion. He held the foot and managed to pull out the prickle very slowly. The lion put out its tongue and licked Androcles' hand. Then the lion licked the bad paw with its tongue. Soon the paw was quite clean. The lion put back its head and gave a loud roar. But Androcles was not afraid. He realized that it was a happy roar. After that, the lion went to sleep right beside Androcles. And here we have the picture with the lion allowing Androcles to pull the prickle out of its paw. The next day, Androcles looked after the lion's paw again. He cleaned it and dressed it with leaves. In a day or two, the paw was well again. By this time, Androcles and the lion were good friends. They were hunting together almost every day. Androcles was not afraid of the other animals now because he had the lion to protect him. Just one roar was enough to frighten away even the bravest animals. Androcles even began to forget about his wicked master. He was sure the lion would protect him from his master too. Thanks to the lion, he was living a happy, peaceful life with plenty of meat to eat. Then one day, Androcles went out into the countryside to hunt without the lion. Some soldiers from Rome were passing that way and saw him. They knew he must be a runaway slave, so they caught him and took him back to Rome. His master took him and threw him back into prison to wait for the day when he would be killed. While he was in prison, Androcles would spend his time thinking about his happy, peaceful life in the cave. At last the day came when Androcles was to die. The soldiers took him from prison to a big playfield. They were going to use him to play a wicked game. They were going to kill him by throwing him to some hungry wild animals. The animals would tear him to pieces with their claws and teeth. There was a festival that day, and this was a game the people liked. Even the emperor was going to be there to see it. When his time came to be thrown to the animals, Androcles tried to be brave. The soldiers brought out a cage with a big lion in it. Androcles walked out to the cage with a strong heart. Then the cage door opened, and a great big lion leaped out. Its mane was long and heavy. It roared a terrible roar. Its sharp claws and teeth were ready to tear Androcles to pieces. Androcles trembled. Then a strange thing happened. Just as the lion was about to leap on top of Androcles, it stopped. Then it slowly moved closer to him. To everyone's surprise, instead of attacking Androcles, the lion put out its tongue and licked Androcles' hand. It was his friend from the cave, the lion with the prickle in its foot. With a tear in his eyes, Androcles put his face against the lion's mane and hugged it. All the people stood up, clapping and shouting. They had never seen anything like this before. The emperor was so amazed that he set Androcles free. He also told Androcles that he could keep the lion for his own. From that time on, the lion went everywhere with Androcles, even when he walked through the streets of Rome. The people were worried at first, but they soon became used to the lion. Androcles and his companion lived a happy, peaceful life together.